Best way to think about Islamic psychology is to think about it in two different ways. The first way is probably bottom up, meaning you want to think that psychology, as prescribed in Quran and then explained in Sunnah, has already happened. Meaning we already know what is the nature of the man. We already know what is expected from men. I've created men and jinn for nothing but worshipping me. And that's the paraphrased verse from Quran. So everything that we do should be directly linked to the worshipping of the one who created us. In a nutshell, that would be a Islamic psychology. Now, psychology as a term it's actually a new phenomena, probably from 19th century onwards. And before that, we had indigenous psychologists called probably folk, called probably healing, deep practitioners, healers, right? Shamans. And the same thing happened in Islamic world. People who were invested in psychology, people who were invested in medicine, they had the deep practitioners, meaning medicine practitioners, they had their place in society. And they drew from Quran and Sunnah and from the tradition of Prophet ﷺ. The main theme, the main theme in Islamic psychology, though, is that we as researchers and we as the direct receivers of advances in science, and psychology is considered as a serious science, we should see it as a blessing. We should see it as an exploration of what is created for us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not other way around. So that will be the first difference between mainstream way of thinking of psychology and the Islamic counseling psychology. Islamic psychology could also be understood differently, and I want to show you a graph just to make you understand what I mean by that. So psychology after 19th century had its place in medical world and in science, and it had its merits. It has been established and then developed until today. But we also have spiritual psychology, and we also have psychology of religion. These would be the branches, as well as counseling and psychotherapy. And within counseling and psychotherapy branches, we have spiritual modalities, including Islamic counseling. All right. So I hope that makes clear how, in mainstream way of thinking, Islamic psychology fits in here. That would be a sub-branch. That would be a sub-branch of psychology of religion, Islamic psychology, right? And in terms of those who practice psychotherapy and counseling, that would be a sub-branch of spiritual counseling and psychotherapy, right? And what we do in those fields, we are making sure that mental health diseases as well as spiritual diseases, meaning pathologies, are being explained and work with accordingly to Quran and Sunnah, but also for the purpose of for betterment of our clients, our patients' conditions. What we also do in Islamic psychology, we make sure that there's no that the no line of haram and halal is being crossed. Actually, the haram line isn't being crossed. So we aligning ourselves with the guidance of Quran and Sunnah first, and fiqh as an explanation of those, and then we making sure that the way we use our akal, the way we use the interpretations are correct. Correct meaning how God created us and how we should how we should interpret those phenomena. I hope that is clear. Psychology also have different branches like developmental branch, educational branch, applied, clinical, pathological, and positive branch. All those branches, they also could be interpreted from Islamic perspective. And some would claim that Islamic or Muslim practitioners traditionally like Ibn Kindi, Ibn Ghazali, Ibn Sina, or even al-Balkhi, they already practice it. So you have this bottom-up and top-down and bottom-up approaches. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I don't want to get into this discussion. It doesn't really matter where you're coming from, because of those arguments which I said, Quran, Sunnah, fiqh as an explanation, always aligning yourself with the thought that I am exploring here what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for us. I think that is a really good start to understand where Islamic psychology coming from, where does it stand, and how we can look at its position in the science, or how we could look at position in Islamic psychology. The bottom truth is that Islam has guidance for further development of science, and that always has been used. And I think the danger right now for us in the Muslim world is that we tend to think otherwise, meaning separate the religion from the science, whereas that was never the intention. All right, I hope that's helpful. I see you in the next video. Don't forget to sign to my channel, IJS Therapy.